Number two, it was a bit of a curveball when I said it, but everyone agreed. The Sportists agreed, and most people agreed. It may be a surprise, but it is Mr. Jack Buck. The
Okay.
and
Unconventional pick, but please, yeah.
it's unconventional, but one of my favorite things I ever read was someone said Cardinal baseball on the radio is the soundtrack of the St. Louis summer. And it's like if I would go to your place and we'd sit on the back deck and have a beverage, the Cardinal game would be on the radio. And if you just walk into a store, if you walk in, it's everywhere. And he was there from the late 50s to 2000. I don't have time to list all of his Hall of Fames.
Yeah.
NFL Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame, Cardinal Hall of Fame, just on and on and on. And not only did he tell you what was going on, he was funny. I went to a banquet, and this is something that people outside of St. Louis might not know. He's the greatest banquet host I have ever seen in my life. He could do stand up, and this one in particular, when I was like laughing so hard, I was trying to catch my breath. They said, believe it or not, he was in consideration to host the Tonight Show when Carson was getting ready to leave at one point. He also did football. The iconic calls, "Go Crazy Folks" on the Ozzie Smith home run. For the Dodgers, even the Kirk Gibson, "I don't believe what I just saw," because yes, he was that good. He did National World Series games on the radio. And then he and Hank Stram, for years, people would turn down the Monday night volume and listen on the radio and watch the TV. So St. Louis institution, okay, you're picking up a theme here, Khaled.
Yeah.
Another awesome guy, just very down to earth. Same thing. I met him a couple times. He could laugh at himself, which great trait to have. So yeah, when you're talking about, you can talk about Cardinal players, and even Stan. You said the length of his career, 41 to 63. Jack was there for half a century of Cardinal
Hard to
fans.
beat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, the soundtrack of the St. Louis summer, his voice. I'm curious. So he is Joe Buck's dad. How do people feel about Joe Buck in St. Louis? I'm not saying he's anywhere close to his dad, but you said mixed. Okay.
Mixed, and I'll tell you why. He, technically, I'm just going to throw my opinion out here. I think he's a very good announcer. A lot of people don't. There's the homerism thing. I love his Twitter bio, which says, "Yes, I root against your team," because everyone thinks he roots against the team.
Especially
But no,
people in Chicago. The Cubs
right?
fans despise him. They think this guy like bleeds Cardinal red, which he might, but they definitely yeah.
And he said the worst call he ever made. And if you go back and listen to it, when the Cardinals won the 06 championship, he says in a very, very rote manner, for the first time since 1982, the St. Louis Cardinals are the world champions. And seriously, that's about the amount of inflection. And he looked back and he said he didn't want to be accused of being a homer. So he just toned it way down. And he said, in retrospect, he's like, I blew that call.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, right? That makes it makes sense, because obviously that outside noise was getting to him, right? Where he was like, "Oh man, I can't do this," because he's usually a pretty excitable guy. If that's something, like my one criticism of him is like he gets a little too excited at some routine plays, so maybe he's trying to overcorrect from that. But all right, Jack Buck. I mean, that's unconventional choice, not an athlete, but we didn't say top 5 athletes. We said sports icons, so that could be managers, head coaches, GMs. I didn't think that quite that far outside the box, so I appreciate your innovation here.